The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
I promise I won't take up too much of your time tonight. We're not here for a 30-minute video on why the Chicago Blackhawks will make the playoffs this upcoming season. That is not what this is about. This is just about a Shohei Ohtani appreciation post. Because what Shohei Ohtani is doing for the game of baseball is so important. What he's doing for the sporting landscape itself is just, it's miraculous to see. And his performance on the field is obviously miraculous. And we will go over all of the numbers very shortly. But Shohei Ohtani is fixing baseball right now because baseball has a problem. If you look to the NBA stars are celebrities in their own right. They permeate pop culture when you reach a certain amount of stardom in the NBA world. And things that happen in the NBA are national news on a sporting landscape. They can lead the A block on any ESPN show when there's a big transaction in the NBA. And the NFL is that, except on an extremely higher level. The NFL is a behemoth, and anything that happens in the NFL can be national news. When Bryce Young, who's the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, who's the worst team in the entire league, when he gets benched on a random Tuesday and they make that decision at practice, that'll make national news and can lead any sports program in America. And it'll make sense because it's the NFL, and that small story is a big story. And in Canada, up here where I am, anything big in hockey can be national news. Like Sidney Crosby signing his contract a couple days ago, that can lead the sports stories across the country because it's Sidney Crosby, it's hockey, it's a big deal that he re-signed in Pittsburgh. But baseball has become a localized sport. Baseball is covered in your town, and they talk about the stories that happen around the local baseball team. The beat writers who are covering your local team are the ones making the news. It's not national baseball writers who are making the headlines for any type of baseball programming. You talk about your team. You don't really care about the other teams that don't have any effect on your team. Maybe you pop in and you talk about the other teams when they come to your city and they're playing your team or you're away at that ballpark. But baseball stories don't make national sports stories until Shohei Ohtani shows up. And he is the outlier because what's happening with Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball performance anybody's ever witnessed, ever. Like anybody who's been around for baseball for the entire length of it has never seen a player like Shohei Ohtani. And what he's doing on the field is making people talk about baseball. It's him specifically, but you start by talking about the solo athlete and the star, and that leads you to talking about the game itself because that's where you're talking about the performance. You're talking about him on the field. So let's get to what he did tonight and why we are here right now to appreciate Shohei Ohtani. He's the first player ever to reach the 50-50 club, 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. But to context that, he's the first person to do it in a season, but he's also the third person ever to do that over the course of their career. Barry Bonds had 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in separate seasons. So did Barry Anderson. Barry Anderson also had 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in separate seasons. Shohei now joins them as accomplishing that, but he did it in one season. He was also the fastest player ever to reach the 40-40 club, 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. And he did it on the back of 3 home runs, 10 RBI, 6 hits. So he went 6-4-6, scored 4 runs, had 2 stolen bases, and 17 total bases. It's a ridiculous stat line for any game ever in any respect. It's just crazy to do that. But to do it on the night when you join the 50-50 club forces the sporting world to stop and appreciate you and say, wow. What are we witnessing right now? We're witnessing the reincarnation of Babe Ruth. That's what he was last year. That's what he's been throughout his entire career with Los Angeles Angels. He was reincarnate Babe Ruth. He has an elbow injury a year ago. Right now, he announces he can't pitch this following season. He's a free agent this offseason. He signs a $700 million contract this offseason. There's a little trouble with the translator. And then he goes out throughout this entire season and lives up to $700 million. And now Shohei Ohtani is going to play in the playoffs because the Dodgers also clinched a playoff berth tonight. And he's going to play in the playoffs for the first time ever in his career this October. And I'm so hyped for the Dodgers to be in the playoffs because Shohei Ohtani, if the Dodgers can go on some sort of run here, I truly think that we can get this. We're getting a national moment right now, but the game of baseball can truly reach this. Okay, we're talking baseball right now. If Shohei has big playoff moments, and this dude's going to deliver because all he's done his entire career is deliver. If you go to the World Baseball Classic where he struck out Mike Trout to lead Japan to the World Baseball Classic championship, that moment was the biggest moment of his career, and now he's going to get to top it with the Dodgers in the playoffs and the whole world hopefully watching baseball again because of this guy and everything unbelievable he's doing. Just to put a whole bow on this, Shohei Ohtani, his stat line tonight, the 10 RBIs, the 4 runs scored, the 6 hits, the 2 stolen bases. He's the first person ever to have that stat line. And there's a million people who have broken down the parts of the stat line that are like, since 1901, since first person ever. But he's the first person ever to do this in a game. Like, bar none, he did something that's never been done by a hitter in a baseball game. He did it tonight. And he did that on top of doing something that nobody's ever done in a season before, doing something that 2 people have only done over the course of their career before. We're watching the most special baseball player of all time ever. And on top of that, next season, now that he's this great hitter, he's also going to be pitching. I don't know what the ceiling is for Ohtani, and I'm just so excited for the game of baseball to watch him reach the ceiling and then shoot past it a million times. And these playoffs, we could truly get another great Ohtani moment. He's delivered so much so far, but we can get it on an even bigger scale in baseball. The playoffs are amazing. Let's hope. I'm rooting for the Dodgers to go on a little bit of a run here so I can see this guy play deep into October. So that's it for me tonight. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but shows me watching and listening to this right now, and I appreciate you for that. Please hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report YouTube channel. If you have not hit subscribe yet, I appreciate every subscription. That is it for me. Good night from Toronto.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.